Welcome back to Mana Central. I'm Kenny.
And I'm Sam. Today I'll be taking you through Joshua Johnson's second place finish at the SCG Premier IQ Green-White Hardened Scales. I'm excited about this deck. It's got a lot of cards that I would love to play in Standard, so I can't wait to take you through it.
Yeah, show them how it works.
Let's start with the mana base. We're only running 22 lands, which might not seem like a lot, especially for a typical Standard deck. But that's okay, because you've got 4 copies of Windswept Heath and 3 copies of Wooded Foothills. You've also got 4 copies of Canopy Vista, the new battle land from Battle for Zendikar. Wooded Foothills is great in this deck even though you're not playing red, because it can fetch you out your forests or your Canopy Vistas. And same thing with Windswept Heath, you're going to get your forests, your plains, or your Canopy Vistas. You're running 9 forests and only 2 plains because the majority of your deck is green, but you are going to need that white mana when it really counts. Now what we're lacking in total number of lands, we're making up in total number of creatures. You're running 26 creatures. This is an aggro deck, and you're going to be casting lots of creatures and attacking with them as often as possible. We're running 4 copies of Hangarback Walker, which is pretty much a staple in any Standard deck. We're also running 4 copies of Avatar of the Resolute, which has great interaction with those +1/+1 counters. And we're running 4 copies of Endless One. With 1 or 2 Hardened Scales out, Endless One is always above curve whenever it's cast. We're running 4 copies of Managorger Hydra, which is going to get bigger as the game goes on, and also, again, fantastic interaction with Hardened Scales. Running 4 copies of Servant of the Scale, a cheap creature that essentially donates its +1/+1 counters when it dies to another one of your creatures. 4 copies of Undergrowth Champion, the new card from Battle for Zendikar, is also a must because it has great damage prevention with those +1/+1 counters. We're running 2 copies of Abzan Falconer to give all your creatures with those counters flying, to either block your opponent's creatures with flying, or to make sure that your creatures can sail over your opponents. Since you're an aggro deck, you're only running 12 spells. The first 4 is the namesake of the deck, Hardened Scales. This is the card you're going to want in every match, ideally multiples. And you're running a playset for a reason. It has fantastic interaction with the rest of your deck. The synergy with this card and plenty of other cards in there is off the hook. You need this card as often as possible, and as many as possible. We're also running 4 copies of Dromoka's Command, which is probably one of the best cards for your deck to either get additional counters, make your opponent sacrifice those obnoxious enchantments. You get so many options with this card, and it's only 2 mana. You gotta play it. We're also running 4 copies of Feet of Resistance. This card hasn't seen a lot of Standard play, but I love it. Putting those counters on your creatures, giving them protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, is a wonderful response to spells your opponents are playing or abilities your opponents are activating, to put this thing on the stack and making sure that your creatures live and they get stronger. For the sideboard, we're going to run 3 copies of Arashin Cleric. That's going to be great against aggro decks or decks that try to get out a bunch of other creatures early, and if we need some time to stall. We're also going to run 3 copies of Valorous Stance, which is a phenomenal card. I love Valorous Stance because it gives you options. You can either take out an opponent's creature, or you can make sure that one of your creatures survives. We're also going to run 3 copies of Surge of Righteousness. We're going to run 2 copies of Inspiring Call, and 2 copies of Plummet. Because we can't always get that Falconer out, and sometimes we need to take out those flyers, especially Mantis Riders. Those things are annoying, and our least favorite. We're going to run 1 Hidden Dragonslayer, and we're going to run 1 Dragonlord Dromoka. That's right, the big lady herself, Dragonlord Dromoka. She's great. Here's how the deck plays. You're going to want that turn 1 Hardened Scales. If you can afford to, you should mulligan aggressively to that turn 1 Hardened Scales. Your deck can win without it, but it definitely helps. It'll put you on the right path to staying ahead and making sure your big creatures get even bigger. Your creatures have great interaction with +1/+1 counters, and the more that you can put on them, the better. You're going to make sure you save your Feet of Resistances to when it's really important for you to play them. To protect your creatures, and make sure your creatures can get through your opponent for that lethal damage. You're going to attack a lot. You're going to be swinging pretty much every turn into your opponent's board. You're going to try to do your best with cards like Valorous Stance and Dromoka's Command to limit what your opponent can do, but in the end, you're going to hope to win out with an overwhelming stampede of giant creatures. It's pretty straightforward, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. Great card synergy, and simple to pilot. We hope you enjoyed today's deck tech about Joshua Johnson's second place finisher in the Star City Games Premier IQ.
Yeah, that was a pretty sweet deck tech. Very informative and thorough.
Thank you. I really like it. Green-White Hardened Scales has been a deck I've been waiting to see do something in Standard for a really long time, so it's nice that someone finally took it to a second place finish.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. So, thanks for joining us this week, you guys. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because it keeps these videos coming to you.
And don't forget to give us a like, because that makes us happy when you like our videos.
Very happy. And please, give us some comments. Throw some ideas out there that you want to see on our channel, some new content, some new ideas, whatever you got out there. We're more than willing to take on any thoughts from our subscribers and fans. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.